We're going to continue chapter 10 by finding the circumference and area of a circle. Our goal is the same as our title today. Before we learn the formulas for circumference and area, let's learn some background knowledge for circles. So go ahead and draw a circle. Well, that's not a very good circle. Let's try that again. Okay, so in a circle, the center is going to be represented by a dot. If there is a line from the center to the outer part of the circle, that's called a radius. In a circle, if you have a line going from the outside of the circle through the middle of the center to the other side, it's called a diameter. You're going to need to know the difference between the two. Again, a radius is half of a diameter. Radius goes halfway, diameter goes all the way through the center. Today we're going to be finding the area and the circumference. Area is what's on the inside. Their circumference is the outside. It's like putting a fence around this circle. Let's start by finding the circumference. There are two formulas to find the circumference of a circle. Pi times diameter, or 2 pi r. 2 times pi times the radius. These formulas really mean the same thing, because if, again, you look at our background knowledge, you're going to notice that you're multiplying pi times this line, or 2 of the radiuses, which equals the diameter, times pi. When you get to the book, the directions will say that you can use 3.14 or 22/7 for pi. Let's all use the same thing. Let's all use 3.14. Do not use the pi button on your calculator. It'll give you a different approximation. Let's find the circumference of a circle. In your notes, I'd like you to draw the circle. When you get to your bookwork, you do not have to draw the circles. Let's say they give us a radius of 10 inches. What you're going to do is you're going to decide which formula to use. And you're going to choose a formula based on the information they give you in the problem. Here they give me a radius, so I'm going to use the formula that has a radius. Start by identifying what formula you use. Plug in the information. Pi is 3.14 and the radius is 10. I'm going to put that right in my calculator. 2 times 3.14. Notice I'm using parentheses. I'm not sure if you can see that. Or you can use 2 times 3.14 times if you don't want to use parentheses. I get 62.8. This one came out to only go to the tenths. The directions ask us to round to the nearest whole number. I got 62.8. And if I'm going to be rounding to the nearest whole number, here's the nearest whole. I look to the right. This pushes this to a 3. So 63 inches. Okay. This time they give us different information. Let's say that this is 20 feet. Find the circumference of this circle. Push pause, try that now. Be very careful when you're finding the circumference. There are two formulas. Use the formula based on the information that's given to you in the problem. This time they give us a diameter, so I'm going to use the formula that has diameter. Diameter is 20. So my calculator, I'm going to do 3.14 times 20. Oh, look, we get the same answer. And round to the nearest whole number. Now, I did that on purpose so you could see something. The radius is half of the diameter. That's why we multiply this equation by 2. These say the same thing because the radius is half the diameter. The diameter has 2 radiuses. So when you approach a problem with circumference, choose the formula based on the information they give you. Do they give you a radius? You're going to use this formula. Do they give you a diameter? You're going to use this formula. When it comes to your assignment, you don't have to redraw the circles, but I do want to see this work right here. You have to have at least 3 lines. 1, 2, 3, and the answer. 1, 2, 3, and the answer. Let's go to area. Area only has one formula. Area equals pi r squared. Again, we're going to use 3.14 for pi. Don't use 22 over 7. Okay, this time we're finding area, what's on the inside. So I'm using the area formula. Identify the formula you're using. Plug in the information. Okay, so 3.14 times 4 squared. Your calculator has a squared button. And again, I do believe they want you to round to the nearest whole number. Let me make sure before I give you bad advice. Yes, so here this goes to the hundredths. So I'm going to round. Here's the nearest whole number. I look to the right. This does not change the 0. So the area is 50 inches squared. I did not identify the formula here. There we go. The label is now squared because area is 2-dimensional. You wouldn't get it marked wrong if you don't label it correctly. Now when you approach this problem, this next problem, I want you to think about how this problem is different than the first area problem. Let's do 12 feet. Find the area of this circle. Okay. Compare your work to my work. I'm identifying the formula. This circle is different than this circle in the fact that they give us a diameter instead of a radius. This formula does not have a D for diameter. It has an R for radius. So you're going to have to find the radius here. We know that 2 radiuses make 1 diameter. So I'm going to cut this in half. Here, the radius is 6. This radius is 6, and this radius is 6. So I'm going to plug it in. 3.14 times 6 squared. Oops. This I can put right into my calculator. 3.14 times 6 squared. Again, they want you to round to the nearest whole number. So here's the nearest whole number. I look to the right. The 0 doesn't change the 3. So 113 feet squared. Be very careful with your area problems. Area only can have a radius put into the formula.